You ever have one of those days when you realize the whole world's been looking right through you, like you're part of the wallpaper, but you know you've got something nobody else has? That was my dad, Samuel Washington, for 7 years sweeping the floors at Grange Tech, invisible to everyone in their spotless white lab coats, hiding his brilliance for the sake of our family. But what nobody saw coming was May's 17-year-old daughter, Ariel, with my hands stained by grease and my head full of impossible engine designs. They never even looked my way, until the day I wandered into the wrong lab and the CEO himself tried to make an example out of me. Yeah, that happened. And let me tell you, that was the day everything changed for them and for us. Grange Tech looked like the future, glass walls gleaming in the morning sun, robotic arms spinning, welding sparks flying, millions of dollars in prototypes lined up like trophies. My dad, 52, pushing his mop and bucket, moving so quietly they'd step right over him, never guessing he understood every word of their rocket scientist conversations. He was erasing their messes, sure, but his eyes caught details nobody else did. Wrong coolant here, pressure off their walking encyclopedia of what worked and what didn't. Out in the parking lot, I'd be sitting in our ancient Honda Civic, notebooks everywhere, drawing out turbocharger blueprints like they were magic spells. Dad used to bring home broken parts for me, and I'd rebuild them in the garage, learning more from a box of busted junk than some kids get in 4 years of college. 17 notebooks later, I knew more about engines than half the folks inside that building. To me, Dad's job wasn't just a paycheck, it was my back door into a world where girls like me didn't get invited. I soaked up every detail, every little thing he whispered about the old days before life smacked him down. One afternoon, after he clocked out, I was sketching again, and Dad just looked at me, half proud, half worried. "You fixin' their engines again, baby girl," he said, settling in behind the wheel. I grinned, showing him how I'd reworked their airflow for a solid 12% gain. "It's obvious, but they're missing it." He got quiet then. "They didn't hire me to think, Ariel. And they sure didn't hire me to have a daughter outsmarting their best minds." But my head was already off, chasing possibilities. Next day, word spread through Grange. The big boss, Walter Grange himself, was putting on a show for a bunch of government suits and investors, all about this prototype engine that had soaked up 2 years and $8 million. Dad went in early, scrubbing and shining, making sure every inch was spotless before the VIPs showed up. He told me to wait by his locker, not to wander, but you know how it is, curiosity wins. Then I heard this deep, pulsing buzz through the building. Something was off. "What's that noise, Dad?" But he was gone, called away to clean another mess. I hung back for a while, but that hum, like the building itself, was trying to whisper a secret, pulled me down hallways I'd never seen before, until I found the door. Experimental engines authorized access only. Nobody around. I turned the handle and stepped into what looked like the inside of a spaceship. Wall-to-wall monitors, digital readouts, engine parts gleaming under fluorescent lights, and right in the middle, the biggest, craziest prototype I'd ever laid eyes on. But even with all that tech, my gut told me something was wrong. Fuel delivery, all wrong. Cooling, fighting itself. Torque, completely backward. I started sketching fixes in my notebook called Help Myself. Didn't even notice the crowd until I heard, "Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the future of automotive engineering." I spun a round room full of expensive suits, all eyes on Walter Grange, and suddenly on me. That's when I blurted it out. "Your torque distribution model is backward." Yeah, I said it. Everything went dead quiet. Walter, smirking like he'd just found his day's entertainment, called me up, daring me to show their Ivy League team what they'd missed. He even made a bet, fix it, get a full ride to any school I wanted. Fail, I owe the whole room an apology. I could tell this was supposed to be my humiliation. But you know what I said? I accept. My dad showed up just in time to hear it, panic all over his face. "Ariel, you don't have to do this." But I did. I wanted to prove what we could do, what he'd taught me. So there I was, alone with the impossible engine and a 7-day clock ticking. That night, after the building emptied out, I snuck back in with Dad's badge, my backpack full of tools scavenged from our garage. Under the harsh lights, digging through the prototype, it hit Meta's thing wasn't just badly built. It was sabotaged. Wrong parts, crossed wires, sensors deliberately disconnected. Someone wanted this thing to fail. And every time I fixed one problem, two more popped up. I started coming in every night, building a toolkit from Dad's old wrenches and some high school 3D printed gadgets, learning every inch of that beast. I was just getting the hang of it when I found out I wasn't alone. Dev Patel, lead engineer, had been watching me first on the cameras, then from the observation deck, and finally in person. Instead of ratting me out, he grilled me on the math, then impressed, though he'd never admit it handed me a module I needed, even tipped me off about security cameras. 15-minute window at midnight if you need to move bigger parts. Just like that, he was on my side. By the weekend, Dad joined me in the lab. I'd worn down his resistance, and once he started tinkering, the old joy came back him solving problems, me watching the magic happen. We ran diagnostics, dug through corrupted files, and discovered evidence from 7 years ago. This engine once worked perfectly before someone buried it. Then, out of nowhere, a new ally appeared, Lexi Grange, Walter's own daughter. She'd been watching me, too, and she knew things about the company nobody else did. She told us the engine wasn't for car sit, was for military drones. Dad went pale. Turns out, he'd been one of the engineers on the original project, Iron Phoenix, before his best friend Elijah died in an accident that wasn't an accident at all. Everything started coming together. Walter and the suits weren't just protecting a botched project. They were hiding illegal tech quantum amplifiers meant for government labs, not civilian use. Lexi had the proof, shipping manifests, hush money, everything. If this engine worked, the whole scam would blow wide open. Dev got fired for helping us, blacklisted in the industry, but he didn't care now. He could fight back with us. Dad, Lexi, Dev, and I formed a team, working in an off-the-grid warehouse that Lexi's nonprofit owned, smuggling parts out of Grange, building a working engine from the bones of a cover-up. It wasn't just us anymore. Detective Irene Mendez, who'd been investigating Elijah's death, got looped in. Her bosses tried to shut her down, but she kept digging, pulling together a case that tied the corporate sabotage to federal crimes, bribes, and murder. Meanwhile, Grange started closing in surveillance, security, everything. We needed one last part, the original quantum dampener, locked in Grange vault. Lexi used her badge to get it, almost got caught, but Dad triggered the fire alarm, and we escaped in the chaos. The final night, we worked straight through, installed the dampener, fired up the engine, and for the first time, it roared to life, real power, stable and smooth. Everything they said was impossible. Then headlights, black SUVs, men in tactical gear. We hustled the engine onto a flatbed, snuck out through an old railway tunnel, and aimed straight for the Grange Tech Expo, where Walter was about to fake a demonstration in front of the world. Inside that convention center, it was all smoke and mirrors. Walter on stage, his engine just a shiny shell. Lexi interrupted his speech. Detective Mendez showed up with a court order, and suddenly, the truth was out in the open. Lexi played the evidence on the big screen, mails, bank records, technical data proving fraud and murder. Then I wheeled in our real engine, started it up for everyone to see and hear. No hiding now. Ran, Grange's henchman, tried to sabotage us, but Lexi stopped him cold, and the auditorium went into lockdown as the truth played out in real time. Reporters, feds, engineers, everyone watched as the Real story came out. Walter and Rand were arrested on the spot, the whole scheme exposed. Dad hugged me, proud tears in his eyes. "You fixed everything they tried to break in us," he whispered. And that's when the cameras caught his janitor and his daughter standing at the heart of a revolution. The fallout was wild. News crews on our lawn, universities and companies begging me to join them. Ariel Build It trending everywhere. Lexi took over as CEO, cleaned house, and built Grange Tech into an ethical, transparent company. She offered Dad a top job, but he turned it down to start the Brooks Engineering Institute with Dev, teaching real kids, in real communities, how to dream big and build with purpose. For me, I turned down the scholarships, the job offers. I started my own company, Forge Core, making engines that could help people in places big business forgot. First, we powered irrigation in Africa, Then emergency vehicles, always remembering why we started innovation that serves people, not just profits. Our annual challenge now brings together young engineers from all over, solving problems that actually matter, not just chasing patents and bonuses. Funny thing is, I never set out to change the industry. I just wanted to show what was possible when you stop letting others define your limits. That's the legacy, the engine that roared, and the kid who refused to stay invisible. The original prototype sits in the Smithsonian now, with a plaque that reads, "Innovation doesn't belong to companies or institutions. It belongs to anyone willing to work hard and think differently." People walk through that exhibit every month, and maybe they see themselves overlooked, underestimated, but burning with ideas the world needs. So I guess the question is, what happens when we finally start listening to the voices we've been ignoring? How many more engines are out there waiting to roar? If you got a story like this one in your own life, or a thought on what's right and wrong, who gets justice, who gets left out, let's hear it. Because this isn't just my fight, it's ours. And it's just getting started.